Now, when we were selecting our writers for tonight's event, all the judges were unanimous about our next guest. And my notes from our judges' meeting in January say, superlative writing, translation, a book of international reach and ambition about the morality of man, war and continents, a time-old story of war and Africa, West versus Africa, but told with real insight, nuance and clarity. We're delighted to welcome the French-Algerian writer Yasmina Khadra with the African Equation, which is published by Gallic Books and translated by Howard Curtis. Yasmina and Howard together. Thank you. Thank you. Lovely. Merci. And Howard, I'm very happy to see you. Howard, you take that. It's so great to have the translator and the author. Now, very briefly, as you will notice, Yasmina is not a woman. Now, would you be kind enough, first of all, to explain?
I am only Algerian, not French-Algerian. Algerian.
You're Algerian and you speak French. We're going to speak French today. Now, would you be kind enough to explain why you're not a woman?
Perhaps I am beautiful.
Definitely.
and intelligent, because the woman is beautiful and intelligent.
You've also written a very beautiful and intelligent book, though, so maybe you've taken the good things of both sexes to do this. This is, but can you tell us why you took the name of a woman?
Bon, je m'excuse, je parle français.
C'est pas une excuse, c'est très bien.
Moi, j'ai été militaire à l'âge de 9 ans. Et toute ma vie, j'étais dans l'armée.
Yes, he says he was a soldier until the age of 90. He was in the army all his life.
Et j'ai commencé à écrire sous mon vrai nom en tant que militaire.
And he started writing under his real name when he was still a soldier.
Et j'ai commencé à avoir une petite notoriété dans mon pays.
And he started to become well known in his country.
Et ça a beaucoup dérangé la hiérarchie militaire.
Which greatly disturbed the military hierarchy.
Alors j'ai été obligé de prendre un pseudonyme pour écrire dans la clandestinité.
So that he was obliged to take a pseudonym.
J'ai écrit pendant 11 années dans la clandestinité.
And he wrote clandestinely for 11 years.
Et c'est ma femme qui m'a donné le courage d'affronter ça.
And his wife gave him the courage to confront that situation.
Donc pour moi c'est un hommage que je rends à cette femme extraordinaire.
So it's a tribute that he gives to his wife.
Et c'est une façon aussi de militer pour l'émancipation de la femme dans les pays arabes et les pays musulmans.
And it's also a way of fighting for the emancipation of women in Arab and Muslim countries.
Au début ça a été un petit scandale.
Oui, je crois.
It was a scandal at first.
Parce qu'on ne comprenait pas comment un musulman, un arabe, un berbère et un militaire prennent un pseudonyme féminin.
Nobody could understand why an Arab, a Muslim, a soldier should take a woman's name.
Et aujourd'hui, tout le monde m'appelle Yasmina.
Now everybody calls him Yasmina.
Ici aussi, sur la scène?
Partout dans le monde.
Partout, ok.
Même à la maison, quand on m'appelle au téléphone.
Even when people phone him, they call him Yasmina.
Alors on demande est-ce qu'on peut parler à Yasmina et ma femme leur demande laquelle.
People ask, can I speak to Yasmina on the phone, and his wife says, which one?
You know, it is wonderful that you say that about women, of course, but and actually it explains a lot about the book, because the book is very much about love. And the love that Kurt Krausmann shows for his wife Jessica is so wonderful, so deep, so profound. And I kept thinking, oh, what a lucky woman to have so much love. Did you understand? I mean, it's a beautiful book.
Mais quelquefois, on ne se rend pas compte de l'intensité de l'amour que les gens nous donnent.
Sometimes we don't realize the intensity of the love that people have for us.
On pense que c'est un acquis.
You take it for granted.
Alors tout amour se mérite.
All love is deserved.
Et il doit être préservé aussi.
And should be preserved.
Now, this extraordinary book, and as you can tell, we're all very excited about this book and all our books. But it's about Africa. It's about the human soul, a human being. It's about war. It's about terrorism. Are these harrowing, difficult events which are in the book, are they things that you have personally experienced? Kidnapping,
Ouais, moi,
being a hostage, that kind of thing?
Oui, mon expérience de militaire m'a beaucoup aidé à mieux comprendre le facteur humain.
My experience as a soldier has helped me to understand human beings.
Et dans mon livre, il y a quelque chose que personne ne connaît. Ni la presse, ni les renseignements, ni rien. C'est la sous-traitance des otages.
And in my book, there's something that people don't understand, neither the press nor the intelligence services, which is about the subcontracting of hostages.
Donc j'essaie d'éveiller le monde à ce qui se passe.
And he's trying to awaken the world to what is happening.
Parce que le plus grand danger qui pèse sur l'humanité, ce n'est pas l'ignorance, c'est la méconnaissance.
The worst thing that's hanging over humanity is not ignorance, but misunderstanding.
Yeah. Et je pense que beaucoup de gens croient que le monde s'arrête à leurs frontières. Et pour moi, le monde commence à partir de nos frontières.
Most people think that the world ends at their borders, but actually for him, the world begins beyond those borders.
Pardon. Et pour comprendre le monde, il faut sortir un peu de sa bulle.
In order to understand the world, you have to come out of your own bubble.
Parce que c'est vrai que le poisson rouge, il est à l'aise dans un bocal. Mais que connaît-il de l'océan? Rien.
A goldfish is very much at ease in his own bowl. But he doesn't know anything about the ocean.
You can tell what a wonderful translator Howard is anyway of this amazing book. Howard is one of this country's best translators of several languages. We're delighted to have you on stage. I think it's the first time once we've been on stage before, haven't we?
I think so, yes.
You've written, there are a couple of other books. You've written novels that have been translated into English already. We've had The Swallows of Kabul and The Attack, which were translated into English.
I have 14 books.
14 books, yeah. But not all of them have been translated, malheureusement.
No, I have 14 books translated in English.
14 translated in English? Why haven't we read them all? That's terrible. Oh, well, that's apologies.
The Sirens of Baghdad, War for Dreams, In the Name of God, Morituri, Double
All
Blanc.
translated into English.
Oh,
right. There's no excuse for any of us not to know this amazing writer then. Now, as far as this book is concerned, how important is this book to you personally, this specific book, The African Equation?
Oui, c'est très important d'essayer d'apporter quelque chose à l'humanité parce que l'humanité m'a tout apporté. Tout ce que je sais, c'est grâce aux écrivains du monde entier.
It's very important to give something back to mankind because mankind has given a lot to me.
Pardon.
Pardon, la dernière phrase, vous avez...
Parce que les écrivains m'ont apporté tellement de choses.
The writers all around the world have given me a lot.
Et nous autres, nous sommes beaucoup plus ouverts que vous sur la littérature du monde.
And we are more open to world literature than you are.
C'est la vérité.
Nous connaissons Shakespeare, nous connaissons Faulkner, nous connaissons Dante, Camus, les Indiens, les Pakistanais, tout le monde, on lit tout.
You don't need to translate that bit, okay. I think. I think we all got that bit. But in this book, what you have done is you've created a dialogue about the West and Africa, which is a very, very important discussion for us all to have. It's not just a man's personal story. He's a German doctor. He's called Kurt Kraussmann, and the wonderful Jessica. It's not a spoiler this, but Jessica commits suicide, and so Kurt has to go off and try and understand what happens. And so he goes off on a journey with one of his friends, Hans Mackenroth, who's very rich and has a big boat, but is also a great charity worker as well. And they go off on this trip and they are kidnapped. and then they spend the next few months in Africa, and the rest of the story is about that. And it's about the hostages meeting the rebels, and it's about Africa meeting the West.
Non, c'est surtout l'Occident qui découvre le stéréotype de l'Afrique.
It's about the West discovering the stereotype of Africa.
Parce qu'en Occident, tout est stéréotypé.
Because in the West, everything is stereotyped.
Par exemple, quand on parle des Arabes, on voit les dunes de sable, la caravane, le soleil.
When people talk about Arabs, they see sand dunes and caravans.
Et pourtant, il y a des écrivains extraordinaires, il y a des poètes extraordinaires, il y a des comédiens, des peintres. C'est fantastique.
There are wonderful writers, poets, actors, painters.
Alors j'ai pris un occidental et je l'ai emmené en Afrique.
I took a Westerner and put him in Africa.
Je l'ai emmené avec ses stéréotypes à lui.
I took him with all his stereotypes.
Et je l'ai fait souffrir en Afrique.
And made him suffer in Africa.
You did?
Oui, il a vraiment souffert, le bonhomme.
He really suffered.
But the Africans themselves don't come off well.
Non, mais par la suite, il va découvrir l'essence même de l'Afrique.
Que même les Africains sont un peu
sont pas
méchants dans le livre. Ils sont,
Non, pas tous les Africains.
Pas tous, mais
Pas tous.
quelques-uns.
Il y a les pirates,
Oui.
les terroristes, mais le peuple africain, c'est un peuple magnifique.
There are in the book there are pirates, there are terrorists, but there are also wonderful people.
Il faut comprendre pourquoi j'ai écrit ce livre. J'avais ma petite sœur qui était malade, elle avait un cancer de sein. Et en Algérie, oui.
Okay, one of the reasons I wrote the book was because my little sister was very ill with breast cancer.
En Algérie, on lui a donné 3 mois à vivre.
She was given 3 months to live.
Et comme elle adorait la France, elle adorait Paris, je l'ai invitée, je l'ai fait venir en France pour se soigner.
Because she loved France, she loved Paris, I had her come over to Paris to be looked after.
Le docteur me dit c'est trop tard, on ne peut rien faire pour elle.
The doctor said it's too late. There's nothing we can do for her.
Elle était complètement métastasée.
The cancer had metastasized.
On lui a donné 2 mois.
She was given 2 months to live.
Elle avait survécu 18 mois.
And she survived for 18 months.
C'était fantastique.
It was wonderful.
J'ai vu cette fille se battre contre la mort. Elle a refusé.
I saw this girl struggle against death.
Et en même temps, en France, les gens se suicidaient pour un travail.
Whereas in France, people killed themselves because of work problems.
And that was Jessica. That's the reason that Jessica apparently committed suicide, was because she was worried about work.
Et donc, je ne comprenais pas. Je disais, à quoi s'arrête la vie? À un travail? Alors que le monde appartient à chacun d'entre nous.
And I wondered, what's the point of that? Life is much more than just work.
Et j'ai voulu emmener tous les gens qui se sont suicidés en Europe, en Afrique, pour leur montrer comment les gens vivent malheureux, mais qui s'accrochent à la vie.
And I wanted to take all the people who commit suicide in Europe and show them Africa, show them how people live, show them how people, even unhappy people, hang on to life.
Et ils avaient vu des gens qui n'avaient rien sur le corps, à part leur haillon, leurs vêtements complètement déchiquetés.
I wanted to show people who had nothing on their bodies except rags,
Ils n'avaient rien à manger.
nothing to eat.
Et chaque nuit, ils mouraient et le matin, ils le ressuscitaient.
And every night they died and every morning they were reborn.
Ben, c'est ce que je voulais écrire à travers ce livre.
That's what I wanted to show in this book.
C'est un livre antidépresseur.
It's an antidepressant book.
C'est un livre magnifique.
Merci.
Are you going to read from
Yes.
this? Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Yasmina. Thank
Merci.
you.
Merci.
Okay, this is a section very early in the book. Kurt and Hans have been kidnapped and they're being driven across country by their kidnappers. The chief of the kidnappers is called Musa and his second in command is called Joma. On a bare hillock, a group of vultures were swarming around a shapeless form. Was it an animal or a human being? The vultures took turns dipping into their prey, as calmly and shamelessly as partygoers savouring a well-deserved meal. The largest of them turned to the convoy, in no way bothered, even though the track was very close. I clearly made out its hairless neck and blood-smeared beak. Suddenly I thought I saw an arm move amid the wings. "There's a man there," I yelled at the driver. "Stop, there's a man being eaten by vultures, and he's still alive." My kidnappers woke with a start and instinctively grabbed their weapons, expecting an enemy attack. Joma just kept on driving. "Stop, I beg you, I tell you there's an injured man." Joma glanced at me in the rearview mirror and tapped his temple with his finger. "I'm not imagining things, I saw him move. He's alive, stop right now." On the hillock, the vultures moved their wings in a dance of death, and again I thought I saw the arm move. I threw myself at the back of the cab and knocked on it. "You have no hearts, you're monsters. Stop, stop, you bunch of savages." Joma braked so sharply that the jeep behind us nearly crashed into us. The word savages had slipped out. I couldn't take it back or downplay it. I only became aware of how serious it was when it rang out over the noise of the pickup, bearing as it did centuries of tragedy and trauma. I didn't think it for a second, but through some dormant mechanism I had said it, and Joma had heard it. He jumped out, ran along the side of the vehicle, grabbed me by my shirt collar and pulled me over the side. I fell on my stomach, face down. He took me by the hair and lifted me up. His face was distorted with anger and hatred. He pushed and kicked me towards the hillock without saying anything. When he got within 20 meters of the hillock, Joma crushed the back of my neck between his fingers. "Where do you see an injured man? Where is this guy we savages are abandoning to the birds?" The shapeless form in question was the carcass of a jackal. As for the arm I thought I'd seen move, it was only the jackal's paw, which one of the vultures was busy tearing to pieces. "So, who's having visions now?" Joma fired a shot into the air, and the vultures flapped their wings but didn't fly away. They were far too hungry to give up their feast. "Is there the body of a man in there, Mr. Doctor?" "No." "I didn't hear that," he said, putting his hand to his ear. "I'm sorry, I thought..." "You thought what? That there was a man being eaten by birds, or that you were surrounded by heartless savages?" I was wrong. "All down the line, cretin, all down the line. You don't understand a damn thing about our continent. You're in Africa, and in Africa you're the savage." "I'm sorry." "Too easy. You can apologize to me on your knees. I did warn you, if you don't want me to walk all over you, become invisible. Now get down on your knees and beg my forgiveness." "On your knees, you son of a bitch, or I'll blow your brains out." Joma stuck the barrel of his rifle under my chin. I didn't give in. I had no desire to give in. I heard Musa shouting orders. Joma wasn't listening. His eyes bulging, his mouth wide open. He was trembling with anger. The jeep came level with us and stopped. The chief jumped out and put his arms out to calm his subordinate. "Don't be a fool, Joma. The son of a bitch has to realize that the days of colonialism are long past." The chief didn't dare come a step closer. Joma's finger was on the trigger. Sweat was pouring down his forehead. "On your knees!" "Do what he asks," Hans yelled at me in German. "The man's not in his right mind." I couldn't blink or swallow, but I wasn't scared. I think my nerves must have given way, because I no longer had any awareness of the danger I was in. "Let him get on with it," I said to myself, resigned. Everything in him condemned me. His hatred was a program he could not deviate from. The chief tried to approach, but Joma pointed his weapon at him and forced him to retreat. "Don't interfere, Musa. This is between him and me. Let me remind you, he's my hostage." "I don't give a fuck about that. I took up arms to defend principles, not to line my pockets. I guarantee that if he doesn't grovel at my feet, I'll settle his hash right now." The chief urged me to comply. I shook my head. The barrel this time was aimed at my forehead. A deep silence fell over the hillock. The men in the pickup were standing, waiting to see my skull explode. Hans was petrified. His cries had exhausted him. Further down on the track, the rest of the gang were motionless. Things were clearly getting worse, and they were waiting to see how it was all going to end. In the sky, the two vultures circled in slow motion, their shadows skimming the ground like a bad omen.